Like a little itsy bitsy baby who had one too many sips from the milkers, it is time for some dumpage. Guys, there are growing concerns over Bitcoin's monthly chart, and we're going to be addressing that very importantly in this video. And even more importantly, as we've been talking about for days now, Bitcoin has fallen to the 50-day moving average. I think it would be better if we continued this downtrend, if we actually maybe also did touch on the 50-day moving average. As you guys know, if you go back and watch maybe like the last 3 weeks, I've been saying I actually would like it if we touched on the 50-day around 27,000 US dollars. I've been saying for a while that's not like the most popular opinion. Like a lot of you guys actually do like that idea, but some of you in the comments are like, no, let's just make new all-time highs, which is great. But ultimately, for the long-term health of Bitcoin, if you want to get the most out of Bitcoin, it would be better if we actually do spend more time consolidating here. Break below 31.5 again, then yeah, Bitcoin's in store for another test, or a test of that 50-day moving average down here. And as well, something else we've been following for weeks and weeks, guys, this is absolutely critical for the DXY. Got a lot of questions about this, so we're going to be dumping into that in this video because it heavily has an impact on Bitcoin's price. And as well, I do have a little itsy bitsy rant about this absolutely insane movement, guys. This is actually bigger than you think, and it's very, very critical to know exactly what's going on right now. Strap in and strap on, because it's diaper season. Welcome back, you absolute savages. I'm your host, Merry Milkers, and we have so much to be jumping into today. There are so many things that are actually coalescing and forming one of the most insane market environments that I could have ever witnessed right now, guys. So much to be paying attention to, so much to have in the back of your head, because this is absolutely wild. So guys, let's not waste too much time. If you love gainers and love fat dumpers, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Make sure to turn on those post notifications so you get updated to this time-sensitive, critical information. And without any further goo gaga, let's dump in. Wow, so I have a lot that I want to be talking about actually towards the end of this webisode that loosely correlates to Bitcoin, guys, because I mean, there's so much to talk about. Let's just save it for then. So if we start off here with Bitcoin's chart, as we talked about specifically in yesterday's video, and as well as you saw from the clip a few days ago, and honestly many times over the last few weeks, I just didn't bother showing you every single clip of me talking about the same thing, but we did actually move down to the 50-day moving average down here, and actually I have a target in mind that I think Bitcoin could easily wick to, and it would still remain bullish. However, there's also something very interesting being formed even on these shorter term time frames, because as of right now, if we go to this hourly chart, so far, and again, personally, I'm not convinced at all yet that this is the bottom, and we're going to be talking about that a little later, but Bitcoin so far has set some sort of a double bottom, with the second one being slightly higher than the first. So that's one good indication. We do actually see a pretty nice amount of volume actually as well, especially if you look on this hourly chart, but it's nothing insanely significant just yet. But basically what happened is, after getting rejected, again, off of about 32.5, it's been a pretty hefty downtrend. First, it was actually around 34K a few days ago, 32.5, and you see two pretty big downtrends after both rejections here for Bitcoin. So far, however, we've gotten a strong bounce. But yeah, if we go to this 4-hour chart, we have not had a single 4-hourly close just yet below this key fib level of the 236 right here. Okay, so overall, Bitcoin is just doing basically what we want it to do, especially if you go back and watch like the last 4 or 5 videos. We've been talking about this channel, whether it's, you know, a descending channel, whether it's a bull flag, whether it's a bull pennant, whether it's a falling wedge, whatever. All of those patterns are typically more bullish when we get a break. However, they all do require further downside first. And that's why I think it's better that if we keep getting downside in the short term, ultimately it'll be better for Bitcoin. Absolutely massive goo gaga. So basically, guys, what I'm looking for, if we do not actually hold this 50-day, and I could see this happening on a daily chart, if we could actually wick down to this key level, basically what I'm looking for at the very lowest for Bitcoin's price. Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb and actually say what I think is the most likely opportunity to get into Bitcoin, where I will finally be purchasing more Bitcoin, because as I've been saying, I've been buying Ethereum, but I stopped buying Bitcoin at these levels. If we get down to roughly 26.8 or 27,000 US dollars, that's a big target I'm looking for. Honestly, this could be our best level to accumulate, where we've already bounced right around 30K, but I'm just not convinced yet. But honestly, 26 to 27 is a very tasty option, in my opinion. I think it's very good. Now, actually, we have some really big things to be looking at as well on this monthly and weekly chart. On the weekly chart, we're below a key critical level, but let's talk about this. So a lot of people are fearful of this, and looking at it, I can see why, right? We have this pretty bearish doji, I believe it's a gravestone doji candle here, pretty bearish, right? People are looking at this and thinking, oh golly gee, maybe Bitcoin's in store for many months of a downturn. Always possible, but guys, we cannot only take TA into account, we also have to take fundamental analysis, where the space is as a whole, and so that's why I'm more confident here. But especially if we pull out the fib levels from the last time that we approached these levels, guys, let's go back to the last time we were exiting. We did initially face resistance right at the 1.414 fib level, and we had a very similar candle being printed. Granted, our current candle is seemingly a much more bearish candle than the one we see back here in June of 2017, but it did get a pretty strong rejection off of the 1.414, and we also have to realize we haven't had this candle close yet, so there's still a possibility that we bounce within the next, I believe we have like 5 days left before we get this monthly close. So again, if we pull out our current fib levels, again, we got rejected off the 1.414, which is identical to the last time. So again, people are very concerned about this monthly candle. You know, if we close where we are right now, most likely, yeah, I do think that might indicate some longer term, you know, over the next few weeks, continued downside. But again, that perfectly lines up with what we've been talking about of just pulling back in the short term anyway. Now, what's also good, if we go to the weekly chart here for Bitcoin, we do notice that if we take a look at the RSI, this has enabled us to actually pull back to a critical level and finally get a little taste under the overbought, right? Anything above 70 on the RSI here is overbought. Currently, we're right about 68.9 or 69. Massive squirt alert. However, again, guys, I mean, honestly, if we did pull back more over the next few weeks, again, it would help reset some of this momentum for Bitcoin. Is the Bitcoin bull market over? Absolutely not. I am 100% convinced we're nowhere even close to where this bull market is going to take us. However, we do have to recognize the possibility that we could still see some more downside over the last few weeks. And again, this is something I've been trying to say over the last few weeks. It's not super popular, which is why I try not to say it too much. But ultimately, guys, if we keep pulling back here, if we keep pulling back, and if we keep forming, you know, whether it is like this falling wedge pattern, ultimately that's not bad for Bitcoin. We needed to reset. We ran up so much in the last 3 months. Again, 27,000 is a target I'm eyeing very much so for an ultimate buy zone, ultimate bottom, but I'm not convinced just yet that we're going to get there. And guys, with that being said, one of the reasons this has happened is because the DXY did exactly something we talked about, which is break, hold the 21-day moving average and break above the 50-day, which it only did temporarily so far. Let's go to the, yeah, you can see this has only been within the last few hours. It did, but it got rejected ultimately, and this is still very critical. This is a battle we need to watch for over this week. We said on Monday of this week that this is going to be a massive week. We're going to see some massive stuff happen. And again, this is the beginning of that. Whatever the DXY does here is going to have a lot of influence on Bitcoin's price. But guys, something else also extremely interesting going on right now is exactly what's happening with the GameStop shares, with people, you know, with Bed Bath & Beyond, with AMC. Basically, let's take a look at this. So remember, a hedge fund can drive a stock price of an already suffering business directly into the ground by aggressively shorting it. But if you decide to push and drive that stock price back up collectively, then you are engaging in something that's bad. Guys, absolutely hypocritical. I think a lot of us get divided between Republican or Democrat or this and that. Guys, ultimately, it's the 1%, the billionaires, the hedge funds, the ones that basically dictate our entire livelihood versus like the other 99% of the country. Wall Street, hedge funds have basically been controlling us and keeping so many of us in poverty for years. And the moment that we all get together with the power of the internet, with the power of collective action, and do something about it, like what's happening here with GameStop, they want to run to mommy and daddy and have the rules changed because it's just for once not benefiting them as much as they want. Guys, one of the reasons I love Bitcoin is because it takes some of the power out of the hands of these absolute criminals. There's nothing else you can call them. They're literally just criminals in suits. But guys, what's different because of the power of the internet, decentralized and not, is that we have access to, for the most part, the same information they do. And when we get together, like what's happening right now on Wall Street Bets, when we get together and collectively do something about it, they're realizing that we have more power than we ever thought we did, and we have more power than they thought we did. So again, it's one of the reasons I love Bitcoin, because it basically adheres to that same type of thinking. And after having them take advantage of the normal everyday person who, you know, doesn't have $1 billion in their piggy bank, after watching them take advantage of everyday people for decades, finally we see a glimmer of hope, an actual ability on our end to kind of show them how messed up the current situation is in our economy. Guys, there are people that cannot afford to pay their rent to even buy food, yet there are people on this planet who literally could not spend all of their money if they tried. They have so much wealth, they accumulate so much of it every single second, that they could literally not run out of money if they tried. They can literally do whatever they want and basically have no repercussions. And then, like in 2008, if things go wrong for them, guess who bails them out? Us, the people that some of us barely can, afford rent, yet we're the ones that have to pay for it in the end. Basically, enough is enough. This is beautiful. Whether or not there's going to be regulation against this, probably. But it's time that we wake up and realize who the real enemy is, right? It's the 1%, obviously. Always has been, always will be. So yeah, basically Bitcoin, as we talked about, it's basically doing exactly what I want it to do, which is just continue to consolidate here. Finally, I want to see a low set. One of the best ways to look for that is to see a massive increase in volume, which as of this moment, we don't necessarily have anything super substantial. It was very big back on January 11th. But yeah, let's continue. Let's see how far they can actually push this market down, because the more it gets pushed down, the more explosive it's going to be when it finally does shift into a more bullish trend. As we've been saying for weeks now, we have been in a downtrend, okay? We were in an uptrend for quite a long time. Okay, let's do it here. We were in an uptrend for like 3 months, and now it's very clear we're in a downtrend. So there's no point in fighting against this trend. The trend is down as of right now, so we just have to let it play out. But there will be a signal at some point, most likely indicated by volume, very strong bounce as always. And yeah, at that point, then we can become more bullish in the short term. But for right now, there's literally no point in trying to fight against the trend, which is to the downside. And in fact, as I'm recording this video, we just actually broke 30K again. So let's get it to play out. Let's see how low we can go. I'm still eyeing up 27 as a really nice target. Wow, so if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. For anybody interested in trading these markets, Ethereum specifically, you can take advantage of our bonuses below. Remember, trading is extremely risky, whether you use leverage or not, and only use these links if you have experience, you know what you're doing, you want to support the channel. And again, I would always recommend never trading more than, 5-10% of your portfolio. You never want to trade with your entire portfolio.